They risked their health to vaccinate Coloradans from COVID-19, and now traveling nurses are raising the red flag again.
In December, we told you about some nurses who left Colorado because they weren't getting their correct wages from Jogan Health Solutions.
As Denver 7's Bayan Wang has learned, that problem runs far deeper.
I was borrowing from friends and relatives just to survive and get by.
It's a pattern
they owed me over $4,000.
that became obvious to many.
Denver is beautiful, but I couldn't imagine getting up, going to work every day and not be guaranteed to get paid.
For some healthcare workers, burnout had less to do with the pandemic.
A lot of people aren't getting paid.
And more to do with payroll. Jogan Health Solutions, a medical and health consulting provider, hired hundreds of traveling nurses from all over the U.S. to help several states vaccinate their populations. Colorado was one of them, paying Jogan Health $45 million since March 2021. For some, the job was short-lived.
Multiple people have left and went home because they still haven't gotten paid. There was one guy in particular who didn't get paid for 3 months. I had all the nurses coming to me asking for my help.
Lindy Lindsay handled some of the payroll duties for the company. She's the first to admit there is a major problem with Jogan's payroll system.
They're very disorganized. We have asked them countless of times to get an electronic system going, and they just wanted to do it by hand.
And so I thought I was going to help them fix it.
In fact, that's what former Jogan payroll employee Heidi Alsasa says she recommended to the company when she was hired in January.
When I got hired, I was told they needed somebody to come in and fix payroll. Their system comes equipped with a time clock that they're just not utilizing. They can download the app onto their phone. They clock in and clock out from their phone.
But when Alsasa drew up an action plan,
their response was, yeah, no, thanks, but no thanks.
Alsasa says she knew what was coming and quit just 7 days after being hired.
We had over 100 emails of people who didn't get paid appropriately.
Some emails sent to Jogan management obtained by Denver 7 News, employees inquiring about why they weren't paid, and if they were, why the payment was wrong, and why it was late, in some cases by more than a month.
And I begged for the money that I did get.
According to several employee contracts, the company said it would pay for living expenses, including food, lodging, and gas.
They started trying to take away things that they promised us in our contract.
Talia Mayer was a former project manager for the company. She oversaw all employees in Jefferson County.
I had some nurses who were putting their personal credit card information on file at these hotels, which would become in debt because Jogan's credit cards were declining or they were refusing to pay.
In an email sent by Jogan founder and president Dan Dietrich to a concerned employee in November, Dietrich admitted paying for employee expenses would be an issue. Dietrich told the employee, as time goes on, our contract terms with our state customers change. Currently, there's no mileage reimbursement from the state unless the clinic-related trip exceeds 50 miles. There's currently no hotel reimbursement and no per diem reimbursement. I'm paying these personally with no way to bill or recoup this.
Payroll and expenses was our biggest headache. It seems that Jogan couldn't get it right.
My food expenses, my airplane flight, and then also the gas that I put in the company in their card.
Denver 7 first exposed the payroll issues back in December. Since then, multiple nurses and various employees have come forward with their stories of wrong, late, or no payments at all.
They haven't paid me the wages that I'm owed from last year.
Adding insult to injury, Dietrich would put the blame on the nurses, saying in part, quote, 99% of the time it's because they didn't complete their stuff in the HR system. People don't turn their timesheets in, and they don't turn them in correctly, and they don't turn them in on time.
That's baloney.
But employees who had payroll duties say otherwise.
Everything was done correctly before I put them in a folder and sent them off.
And the State Department of Labor and Employment also turns responsibility back on companies like Jogan.
Workers have to be paid on regular pay periods, and they have to be paid no later than 10 days after the close of the pay period under Section 103 of the Wage Act.
Whether it's employee banking or personal information that isn't submitted or timesheets allegedly not being turned in, companies still have the obligation of paying what is due.
If there's an employer that's systematically not paying pay for much longer than 10 days after pay periods close for a large number of employees over time, that doesn't seem like it would be an idiosyncratic glitch in a system or one employee's information being mishandled.
The department confirmed receiving a tip regarding wage issues at Jogan Health Solutions, but when a formal complaint isn't submitted, their investigations are prioritized for industries with vulnerable employees.
Whether that's low wage or lower education or lower linguistic ability, it's impossible to investigate everything.
Denver 7 reached out to Dietrich, who agreed to an interview, then stopped taking our calls. Instead, he issued this statement saying in part, "We are aware that there have been some recent payroll challenges for employees at our vaccination sites. We are looking into how exactly these mistakes were made while ensuring that all employees have been paid for hours worked and expenses accrued." It's an acknowledgement that came too late for Mayor.
But I left for moral and ethical reasons.
Lindsay would follow suit in December.
I was tired of feeling like I was put in the position to be a bad guy. I couldn't face the nurses with a good heart, knowing everything that I knew.
The issues don't just stop there for Jogan Health. A $2 million lawsuit has been filed against Jogan Health out of Douglas County. A company named Safety Management Systems LLC is alleging that Jogan breached their contract by hiring away some of their employees. In studio, Bayan Wang, Denver 7.